Welcome into the Chiefs Report. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Today's video, the draft is just almost here, less than a week away. Let's take a look at the biggest needs for the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll break down the top 5 in further detail. Obviously, Kansas City has 8 draft picks this year, including the number 31 overall pick in round 1. Should be a lot of fun. Subscribe to the channel because, we're going to have a good time. What is the Chiefs' biggest need entering the NFL draft? That is the question for you guys on today's show. I've got my top need, which we'll get to in just a second, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. And I just mentioned get subscribed to the Chiefs Report because, we're going to have a whole lot of fun. It's youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Let's get to 16,000 subs ASAP. We'll have videos during the draft, before and after as well, the latest Chiefs news, rumors, draft-related, and otherwise. We're closing in on 16K. Hit that big red button and subscribe and share that link with a friend. It's youtube.com/ChiefsTV. All right, my number 1 draft need for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think it's pretty obvious, it's left tackle. This team needs a left tackle. There is no doubt about that. So let's talk about some of the some of the reasoning behind why left tackle is the biggest need by a wide margin, by the way, for Kansas City. Well, you don't really have one. So Andy Reid mentioned these 4 guys at his press conference recently as possible internal candidates. Lucas Niang, who played strictly right tackle in college at TCU and opted out of his rookie season last year. He mentioned him. Mike Remmers, who was a disaster in the Super Bowl. He played good at right tackle, but he was bad at left tackle. Kyle Long, who's never played left tackle in the NFL. He's played mostly right guard and a little bit of right tackle. And then Andrew Wiley, who's kind of a guard tackle hybrid who ideally wouldn't start at any position. You'd like him to be like your 6th or 7th offensive lineman. Those don't really stand out as top-tier type of options. Luckily, this draft is littered with good left tackle prospects. Obviously, Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater. I know in my latest mock, Sewell fell pretty far, but even I acknowledge it's pretty unlikely either of those 2 guys are going to be realistic. Maybe you trade up for a guy like Christian Darrisaw, or maybe he falls to 31. I doubt it. You'll probably have to trade up. Elijah Vera Tucker, who I think is better as a guard, but played left tackle and played fairly well at it last year at USC. He could be an option. Samuel Cosme out of Texas, I think, is a good option at left tackle as well. Then you got a lot of other guys who could go late round 1 or on into round 2 and maybe even round 3. Liam Eichenberg out of Notre Dame. I like him quite a bit. Dylan Radins was the left tackle for Trey Lance at North Dakota State. Alex Leatherwood, I think, would be a solid round 2 guy. Jalen Mayfield, Walker Little, I think they're more longer plays. Mayfield didn't play a ton in college. Little hasn't played that much the past 2 years, but those are 10 legitimate left tackle prospects. Now, they won't all pan out. Didn't mention Tevin Jenkins because I think he's really just a right tackle, but sure, you could try him there as well. But the point is, there's a lot of left tackle prospects, and do you guys think they should draft one in the first round? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Should the Kansas City Chiefs draft a left tackle in round 1? Number 2 biggest need, that is edge rusher. 2 through 4 to me, very interchangeable. I think you could argue for any of these, so keep that in mind. Left tackle, clearly biggest need. 2 through 4, it's scrambled. It's all close together right there, in my opinion. We'll obviously reveal 3 and 4 later on, but I've got edge as number 2 because, A, Frank Clark has not played that great the past couple of years. He's been good, but not great. And Taco Charlton's not a starting edge. Right now, I've got him penciled in at defensive end opposite of Frank Clark, but I think it really would be a rotation, including Chris Jones playing some defensive end, by the way, and kicking Tershawn Wharton into the starting defensive tackle spot there. You've got Michael Dana. You've got some other names there, but you at least need more depth, and I think you really need a starter if you can find one at the edge position. The challenge here is it's not a strong edge class, so it's very possible Brett Veach and this staff look at this and say, hey, we got Frank Clark, we got Chris Jones, we have Jaron Reed, 3 stud starters on the defensive line. It's just going to be a rotation at the other spot, and that's fine if you want to go that route. I would prefer to add someone if you can. These are some of the top guys out there. I doubt Jalen Phillips falls to you at 31. Azeez Ojulari has been a popular name linked to the Chiefs throughout the mock draft process. Kwity Paye out of Michigan, I think he needs a year to develop. Ronnie Perkins and Joseph Asai, a couple of players in the Big 12 that I think you'll be either late round 1 or early mid-round 2 options options. There's some good players, but there's no, oh man, this guy could be Nick Bosa type of player in this draft. That prospect just does not exist for the Kansas City Chiefs in this year's NFL draft. So I think at the end of the day, you're probably just going to have to see how the draft plays out. But I do think edge is a pretty significant need for the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll just have to wait and see how it ends up playing out. Today's show is presented by BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/ChiefsBet. Prop bets are out, so go check them out on the website. Prop bets for the NFL draft, by the way. Over-unders on quarterbacks, all kinds of fun picks. By the way, Trevor Lawrence, 10,000 to 1 odds to go number 1. I know you're not making much return, but it's free money. He's going number 1 overall. Use our promo code Chiefs125 to get a 125% deposit bonus. That's chatsports.com/ChiefsBet. Go to that link, chatsports.com/ChiefsBet. All right, my number 3 biggest need, and again, 2 through 4 are very close here. Wide receiver. You've got good weapons. I get it. You got Travis Kelce, you've got Tyreek Hill, and you've got some other players on this roster that can make big plays, but I'm not sure you've got a true number 2 wide receiver. I think they've tried to give Mecole Hardman opportunities this past year to take that role and run with it, especially when Sammy Watkins got hurt. Didn't really do that. Obviously, you lost Watkins. You brought back Robinson. You brought back Pringle. I don't know if either of those two guys can be a number 2 receiver. Maybe competing those two with Mecole Hardman, someone can emerge. We'll have to wait and see. But I do think there's options in this draft to go and get a player to at least create competition, right? Rashad Bateman, probably a guy you'd have to take in round 1. Same with Terrace Marshall. Kadarius Toney, I've seen him go as early as top 20, top 22. I've seen him fall to the late second round. Just have to wait and see there. Rondale Moore out of Purdue is an option. Elijah Moore. And there's guys even after this. I'm not going to throw Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle on screen because they're unrealistic for Kansas City. But these are some names to keep in mind if you want to, upgrade at a number 2 wide receiver, or at least create some competition for this upcoming season. So what do you think? Is the Chiefs' number 2 wideout for 2021 currently on the roster? And what I mean is someone they already have going to be the number 2 wide receiver? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no, and don't give me the sarcastic Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill are your top 2 receivers. I'm talking receiver only. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Get your votes in. Is the Chiefs' number 2 wideout currently on this team? Number 4, cornerback, 2, 3, 4. You could change up the order any way you want, and you could talk me into it. This is the way where I ended up, though, as I've really studied this hard the last couple of weeks. And the reason is for a couple of reasons. One, you could get by with what you have. I wouldn't feel super comfortable with it, but L'Jarius Sneed balled out last year. I think he's a legit corner in this league. Travarius Ward was up and down, but we've seen him play well in the past. Maybe a full offseason work, get back on track type of season. And then I think Rashad Fenton can be a starting nickel in the NFL. When he plays well. He can play some outside too if you need him. And another reason I've got it down at number 4, I definitely think it's very possible still that Bashaud Breeland re-signs in Kansas City. I think that's at least a 50-50 type of chance, and if he does, you don't need to draft a corner. I think you can roll with what you have. Maybe you take a developmental piece on day 3 or something like that if you bring back Breeland, which that probably frees up flexibility in the draft if you think you're going to bring him back. So I've got it at number 4. These are some of the top prospects this year. Obviously, those top 2 guys, Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn, not going to be there at 31, I don't think. Maybe you could trade up for a guy like Horn, but it's still going to cost a lot. Caleb Farley, maybe he falls to 31 with the back surgeries. We'll see. Greg Newsome's been moving up boards pretty quickly. Good chance he goes in the first round. I think Asante Samuel Jr., probably more of a second-round guy, more of a nickel type of option as well. But those are some of the big names in this year's draft if Kansas City opts to take one early. So what's the biggest need? We took a look at 3 of them here, 2 through 4. I think it's very close. Edge rusher, wide receiver, corner. Out of these 3 positions, what do you think is the biggest need for Kansas City right now? Go ahead and get your votes in. And then my number 5 biggest need is linebacker. I think that it's fairly further down from 1 through 4 here. In terms of, if you broke down position by position where you were strongest as, linebacker would be lower on the list. But at the end of the day, A, the Chiefs run a lot of nickel. B, I think Willie Gay can come in year 2 and play pretty well. He's still got Anthony Hitchens and Ben Neiman. And C, and most importantly, linebacker just isn't that valuable these days. A lot of nickel schemes. You just need guys that can run around and tackle in space. I'm not saying it's an insignificant position. You can't have a bunch of UDFAs out there, but you've got Hitch, who's been playing a while. He's lost a step, but he still knows what he's doing. You've got Willie Gay Jr., who's a fast player, who's instinctive. I think he can develop properly, and you can get by with what you have. So, look, I'm not saying don't draft one. I just don't think it's as big of a need as some of these other positions. These are some of the top names. Micah Parsons, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Those are going to be round one guys. Probably not going to be there at 31. Maybe Jamin Davis is there out of Kentucky. He's been gaining some steam. Nick Bolton out of Missouri, probably more of a round two guy. We'll see where Zaven Collins goes out of Tulsa. A lot of mixed reviews on him. He could be a top 20 pick. He could be a top 60 pick. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think it's a major need. I think it's a need, but I don't think you need to take one in the first round by any means. What is your dream draft target in round one? Name a player. It could be anybody. Don't say like Kyle Pitts, because you're not going to get Kyle Pitts. But realistic dream draft target. I'd love to go trade up and get Christian Darrisaw. I don't think you'd have to, move up a ton to get him. I would say him. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So, draft is almost here. These are my top biggest needs as we film this right now. Left tackle, edge rusher, wide receiver, cornerback, and linebacker. Hey, draft's going to be fun. Subscribe, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Don't miss any of our coverage leading up to the NFL Draft.